Hello, my name is Len David Livesey, and I'm sorry that the show is running a little bit late today. But as usual, I had my little technical problems, but we did try to solve them, and we should be up and running now. I think I solved most of everything, but I'm going to do my checks to make sure that everything is working properly. Just give me a second. 'Cause I've been having a lot of technical problems lately with this show. So I'm just going to do some confirmation that I haven't done lately, but I need to do that today to make sure that we are in the house. Yes, maybe it's just gremlins or what's going on, but we'll be starting very soon. Bear with me. Okay, we are up and going. So, my name is Len David Livesey. I'm your full spectrum Gnostic. And, we just got to keep going. You got to take the good days with the bad days, and they're all days. So, we have a very good subject today. I always try to have good subjects for you. Today, we're talking about something. This is a requested subject. People wanted, someone asked me a question. Is there a demonic agenda behind the music that we listen to today? And that is what we're going to be talking about today. Okay. Because some people feel very strongly one way or the other. And I had my doubts sometimes listening to some of this music lately about that too. But as we normally do, we always like to go back to the beginning. Okay. So how far we're going back, we're going to go. Are we going back to Elvis Presley? Are we going back to the Beatles? Are we going back to the 40s to the 50s? No, we're going to go all the way back to the Anunnaki. We always have to go back to the Anunnaki. You know that, and I know that. Okay. And why do we always have to go back to the Anunnaki? Because that's where all of our problems started. Okay. So let's review real quick. Remember, when the Anunnaki, they came down, when they first, we're not going back to that far when they first came down. We're going back, uh, to, yes, when they first came down. But first, we have to explain who the Anunnaki is. For those who don't understand, I guess we got to go back even further. The Anunnaki came here from their planet Nibiru to look for gold because they had a hole in their atmosphere. Okay, so they crossed the broken bracelet, which is not the asteroid belt, which is the Oort cloud, which separates our solar system from our sister solar system. We live in a binary star system. Everything they told you is a lie. We have our solar system is a binary system, and we have a brown dwarf star on that rotates around our sun on an extremely large orbit. Okay. And that star is called Nemesis. And one of the stars that goes around Nemesis is Nibiru. Okay. So they had a hole in their atmosphere. They was trying to fix it. And they needed gold. So they crossed the broken bracelet, which is the gap between our solar system is there, which is the Oort cloud, and they discovered the Earth. Okay, and they started mining here. And when they came here, remember, they was working with the old ones. They had leather skin and clover feet, the dinosaurs. They blasphemed against the gods and was destroyed from the surface of the earth and driven into their underground caves. Lynn, what did that have to do with our subject? Give me a break. Okay. So after they was driven into their underground caves, they needed replacement beings. They created something called the new ones, which is us. And it took them a very long time to create us. And we talked about that on our other podcast. But then they had a new worker race, which was us. Okay. So you're ready to get started. So when El left, El appointed 600 watchers to watch over the earth. Now, why does the earth have to be watched? I don't know, but all humanoid planets have to be watched. And of those 600 watchers that was appointed to watch over the earth, 200 of them came down. That's why the Bible say a third of the stars fell. Okay. And they had relations with the daughters of men. We already discussed that. Giants was born to them. We have discussed that, called the Nephilims. And they taught the women the sins. We have discussed that already too. The sins were, how to extract metal from the earth, how to make weapons, how to read the stars, how to make medicine out of plants, how to do a lot of things. These are all listed as sins. You do not have to take my word for it. This is written in the book of Enoch and in the book of Jubilees. Okay. The Bible says that they sin, but they do not list the sins. If you want a list of the sins, you need to go to the book of Enoch or Jubilees, and they actually list the sins themselves. One of the sins that man was taught how to make musical instruments. Now, why was musical instruments a sin? This is why some of those super strict churches and the Taliban believe that music is a sin, because this is also covered in the Quran. Okay. But why would fallen angels teach humans how to make musical instruments? It is talked about in the book of Enoch and in the book of Jubilees, because music was created for the enjoyment of the gods, not God, of the gods. So we're talking gods with little g's. That would probably be those ones who came down. Okay. You understand? So music was invented not for us. It was invented for their pleasure, to please the gods. That's where music came from and musical instruments came from. And the first person who was mentioned that played a musical instrument was Cain himself, and some of his descendants. Okay. And Cain, let's talk about Cain. A lot of y'all never read that book. It's in your house. You call yourself a Christian, but you just never have time to actually open it up. Okay. So, Cain was the older brother. And his younger brother, he was envious of, because God liked him more. Okay. That's what the Bible is the story of. The story, the fighting among the two brothers. Okay. Is, you can talk about Cain and Abel, Enoch and Jacob. Is always the fighting of the two brothers all the time. Okay. So they made a sacrifice to God, and Cain took the best of his flocks and made a sacrifice. Okay? And now that gets into a question right there, because a lot of Christians believe that we didn't eat meat until after the flood of Noah's day. Okay. So why did Cain have flocks? Okay. We're not discussing that today. But what Abel offered up was the best of his garden, fruits and vegetables and all kind of stuff. And God showed favor on Abel's offering. Cain became upset. Okay. Cain killed his brother. Okay. And then, this is talked about in all the books. God came and said, Cain, where is your brother? And Cain said, am I my brother's keeper? God said his blood calls out from from the earth. Okay. You know what that means. Okay. So Cain was banished, and he was banished to go east of the garden. Everybody's east of the garden. That's the same place when they finally gathered up all these bad demons. They put them east of the garden. Cain had to go east of the garden too. Okay. Now, what is strange in the Bible? Okay, which is a discrepancy between the Bible and the Book of Enoch. When Cain left, it says in the other books that Cain left with his sister. Okay, but that's not mentioned in the Bible that Cain left with his sister. But Cain left, but it's mentioned in some of the other books and in several other books that Cain Cain said, this punishment you put upon me is too great, because if anyone come upon me, they will kill me. Now, if you go by the Bible, there was only Cain and Abel and Adam and Eve. Who is these people that are going to come upon Cain? That's a different subject too, because there was people outside the garden. You don't know that. But anyway, we're not discussing that today. So God put a mark on Cain, so they would know, so no one would touch him, to protect him. So Cain was protected. This is in the Bible. The mark of Cain, which was told wrong during those slaving days, was dark skin. No, Cain was not dark, didn't have dark skin. No. Dark skin is not the mark. Okay. The mark of Cain is Cain had horns, or a horn. Okay. And he is known as the horned one. Why are we going over this? Because Cain always played his flute all the time. He was very carefree, and he didn't work, and he was always sitting around playing his flute all the time. And if you Google that, okay, you will see lots of depictions of that. And Cain, remember, after Adam and Eve got kicked out of the garden, God covered them with fur, made them into cavemen. But Cain was only half covered. This is the big problem that people don't understand. That Cain was half covered. Because to Cain and all of his descendants, men never covered their chest. This is why the Egyptians never covered their chest. Babylonians never covered. Certain races believe that the men do not cover their chest. It's a sign of masculinity. So Cain only wore his around his waist going down. He was half covered. Today, we think of Cain as being half, or Pan, as he is called in fiction, half man and half beast, because he's half covered with hair. That's not true. He's just a man with fur wrapped around him. But he's played his flute all the time. So, do this make music demonic? Not really. But remember, music was not created for us. It was created. I went into this long story so you know where it came from. And music was created for the amusement of the gods, with the little g's, the fallen ones, the Nephilims, or the Anunnaki. And then when kingship descended upon man finally, which you talk about in a lot of the old books, music was for the enjoyment of the king and his royal court. There was always music being played. Again, it wasn't for regular man. Okay. Man didn't get to enjoy music in Europe anyway until you get into like the Renaissance periods. This is when they start opening the big, not the, the Renaissance, when they start opening these big music halls so people could enjoy music. Okay. But before, music was something for the king and his court, and the king was considered God's representative. So, do that means music is demonic? Well, we're still not there yet. Okay, but music have always inspired people, inspired people to do good things and bad things. Okay, and music have always had its dark side. Music is a two-edged sword. Okay, the most popular music, if you go by any genre, is love music. Love music is the biggest genre of music it is. But on the flip side of love music, you have the other side. You have all this music talking all this dark stuff. And this is what people have always complained today. So if you're listening to the dark side, and music seems to mirror what is going on. Okay. So when so I like to think about music the way Tesla thought about things. You know who Tesla was, right? Okay. Tesla believed that everything is a vibration. Okay. And I believe what people are actually listen to, because you can go all over the world, and music today is universal and been that way for a very long time. It is not only enjoyed by kings and queens and gods no more, everyone listens to music. But music is a vibration. And this is what music theory is about. Is that music can make you happy, music can make you sad, music can make you cry, music can make you do a lot of things. Okay. And in music therapy, you actually use music to modify your moods. This is what I do. Okay. That's why I listen to a lot of, new age music, which is semi classical, this and that, because it relaxes me. But I know I haven't always listened to that music. When I get very upset and very irritable, I start going towards music that is not classical, music that is not nature based. I get into what is called the hardcore stuff. Okay. And this is what is the dark side of music is about, because a lot of people today are not happy. So you have ghetto rap, and you got, hard rock, and you got this and that, and you got all this stuff because a lot of people have all this pent up emotion and their frustration, and they're unhappy, not only with society, but with themselves. And they think everybody's trying to rip them off and everybody's doing this. And then they put on music that matches their vibration. Okay. So the music industry specializes in this. So in case you don't know it, if you're a drug dealer, there's music that just talk about drugs. And if you're into prostitution and all that womanizing and this and that, there's music that just talk about that, and strip joints and this and that and everything else. And if you're into whatever you're into, there's a genre of music which is created just to fit that type of behavior. And if you're into motorcycles, there's music to fit that. Okay. You get what I'm saying? And since society today has a negative lean to it, a lot of music, like a lot of video games, like a lot of everything, has a violent negative lean to it. So this has been argued for a long time. People say video games is making people mean, making people violent, so they should ban video games. But then you get into the question. Video games haven't been around that long. Why was there violence before video games? If video games and movies are causing all the violence, And movies and video games only been around a short time. How come there have been violence for thousands of years? And if you believe that music is the cause of all evil, like the Taliban do and some Christian groups do, and if we got rid of all that satanic music, and if we got rid of these singers talking about effing this and dancing on the pole and all this stuff and shooting people in the head and all this negative stuff and jumping off of bridges and cutting their throat, and there's all kind of stuff. Okay. If we got rid of all of that, we could be in happy paradise. We could just sit around and sing a kumbaya all day. No, because the problem is not the music. The problem is not the video games. The problem is that mankind has a negative. Mankind is prone to negative things. Why? Is that the animal nature of us? Okay. Is that the barbaric side of man? That's something, need to be thinking about. And that's what progression is about. We're just supposed to be turning our uncontrollable, unrational, barbaric mind into a controllable, civilized super animal. But music is expressing what people feel. Now, so Lynn, are you saying that there's not no demonic forces in the music? I did not say that. Because our planet, we think we're here alone, and we've been looking high and low for those damn aliens, and we can't seem to find them anywhere. But there's a lot of aliens here. And not all of them are little green men. And there's a lot of forces, entities, that feed upon our negative emotion and our negative energies. They feed upon that. Okay. To them, it is food. So, Lynn, are you saying that anytime somebody shoots somebody or beats somebody up, it's not their fault? It's those negative energy creatures? There might be 10, 20%, 30% of the blame, because what they do is whisper in your ear. And we all have crazy thoughts whispering in our ear. That doesn't mean you have to do it. So if you get that little voice whispering in your ear that, hey, you need to go and beat that guy up. You need to go to Walmart and steal some makeup. You need to do this. You need to make some extra money on the side. You need to get into that, doing a little drugs and a little weed reefer and everything else. Okay. Now, that might be that little voice talking, but that voice is not picking you up and dragging you by the neck. That is you doing that. Because on the other shoulder, there is another voice that's telling you not to do these things because you have something called free will. But many of us today, we don't want to listen to that voice about you should go to work and you should go to school and you should study hard and you should do this and you should do what your parents tell you to do. And you, oh, that's so boring. Oh my gosh. Okay. We like that other voice. We love that other voice. That other voice tells us. And this is why we like to see wrestling, fighting, people getting beat up. We like Worlds of Warcraft. We like movies where there's everybody's getting shot up and everything. Mankind just have that negative lean. But that doesn't mean that you have to have that negative link. Yes, we all have those crazy thoughts, but you need to control your crazy thoughts. And I was talking to someone the other day. They were saying, telling me about every time they got to watch their drinking because every time they start drinking, they start losing control. See, a lot of people know. And what drinking does, it loosens your tongue. It not only loosens your tongue, a lot of people are not true to thyself. And they got all of this stuff built up inside of them. Okay. But they can't do anything. So they listen to that music that talk about all this stuff, getting even with your friends and beating people up and picking up a nine and all this stuff. And you get what I'm saying, don't you? Stomping on people and all this stuff. They like that negative stuff. They like the demonic. Okay. And then a lot of this stuff is even, if you're into that type of stuff, it starts spiraling you down. Then you start listening to, listen to some of the, it's not, we're not only going to pick on hard rock or acid rock and all of this crazy stuff when you get into those very heavy hard rock groups. It's just as bad on the other side. When you start listening to ghetto rap and you start listening to some of these, now today the problem is you got women rappers today whose mouth is just as dirty and bad and, oh my gosh, disgusting as some of the men. And we think that's cool. We like that. Okay. So, is the music just giving us what we want? You know, this is why you can be judged at the end of your life because you have the ability to go to the left or to the right. We all have those little horns sticking out of our heads. Some people have baby horns, some people got giant horns like deer. But just because you have horns, you need to control your craziness. This is what I tell people. Animals that can't control themselves, we lock in cages. People that can't control themselves, we lock in cages too. It calls jails and prison. As long as you can control your craziness, you are allowed to be in what is called free society. You are allowed to roam around. Now, once you get too crazy, then they need to lock you up. You see what I'm saying? So, back to our original subject. Is there a demonic agenda behind our music? The answer is yes and no. The music is just leading people where they want to go. You have see in life is like this. It's like the radio in your car. When you get in the car and you turn on the radio, there's 50 stations. Nobody is forcing you to listen to the country station or the rock and roll station or the classical station. It's up to you what you listen to. But negative people, the Bible says birds of a feather flock together. Right? You can tell the character of a person by the people that they hang around. So if you're a negative type of person, you're going to listen to negative music. And that negative music will pull you down to be more negative. And if you are a positive person, you will listen to positive music, and that music will lift you in the direction you want to go. So if you want to know the direction that your kids are going, just listen to the music. It will tell you where they are going. And if they're listening to all kind of crazy stuff, doing drugs, this and that, hanging around in you strip joints, this and that, and burn poles and all kind of stuff, then maybe their morals is not right. Maybe they need some of that secondary education because that primary education didn't work out for them too well, right? And what we have to do with anybody, if we care about our family and our friends and our associates, we have to monitor and nurture them. And if we see people heading in the wrong direction, no, we're not a warden. We can't go and be hitting people in the head, but you do want to do your 2 cents worth. And if you see one of your girlfriends doing, you need to say, hey, girlfriend, you need to chill out. You know what I'm saying? This is what we all need. But for some reason today, if you're in a bar doing shots, there's nobody to try to talk you out from doing more shots. But if you're trying to do right and trying to do good, you got a lot of people on your back saying, why are you doing that for? And what's the point? And this and that. See, it doesn't make sense. And if you're trying to go to college or trying to go to church or trying to do nice things, trying to take care of your family every day and don't want to go nowhere, you just want to be home with your kids, people saying, why are you doing that stuff for? You need to get out. Why are you going to class every day? You don't have to go to class every day. I know this guy who got all the answers to the test. I can give you. See, people want to always do those shortcuts. They want to always do the crazy. And their music is taking them in the direction that they want to go. So the answer to the question is there a demonic agenda behind our music? The answer is yes and no. Because the agenda is if you are into negative stuff, then the music will be there for you. Okay. But there are entities out there which are preying on our negative forces. And if you feel that negativeness creeping up on you, the old people used to say, get behind me, Jesus, but get behind me, Satan. New people, they don't do that today. They sense that darkness following them. Okay. And we need less music talking about dancing on a pole or shooting people or this and that, or we need more, because this is the problem with society. And I'm going to take a diversion for a minute. Somebody the other day was asking about this new Facebook stuff they're doing, and I'm going to get in big trouble with Facebook over this. Okay, they already banned one of my podcasts a few weeks ago, but anyway, this one probably be next. So, but anyway, this multiverse thing. I was going to do a whole podcast on multiverse, but it's too boring. I'll sum it up real quick. Okay. So Facebook and all these media companies going to be setting up this multiverse. It's the latest thing. So what does multiverse mean in English? I'm going to explain it to you. So, because today the internet is a little bit of everything. And if you're in the World of Warcraft, you can see that it's a little bit, it's everything is jumbled together because we only have one internet. But now they're going to do multiverse, to where if you're in the World of Warcraft, you can just everything on your universe, multiverse, will be World of Warcraft themed items. Everything will be World of Warcraft. If you're into Pokemon, everything will be Pokemon oriented. If you're into football and sports, everything will be football or sport oriented. You could just live in that world where everything is talking about football, this and that, and everything. See what I'm saying? You don't have to get along with anybody or share your unit. Everybody's going to be into their own individual multiverse. You get what I'm saying? And if you're into like Spider-Man and Superman or whatever, everything on your internet is going to be about superheroes, this and that, and everything. Now, that's wonderful. The problem is with all this multiverse BS. If you're in the World of Warcraft or all this other stuff or into whatever, when you go to work, work is not in a multiverse. You understand the problem? This is why a lot of people, young people especially, can't keep a job. Because doing a job is just going to work and doing a repetitive thing every day from a certain time to a certain time. You get what I'm saying? There is no pulling out your magic wand. There is no pulling out your sword. There is no anime. There is no this or that. It's just boring BS every single day. So all this stuff people doing in this multiverse stuff, and if you're living in that world of anime where everything is Japanese cartoon oriented, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, Walmart is not anime. If you're working at Walmart or the car wash or Church's Chicken or anywhere, none of that stuff is anime. They just want you to do your job. The problem is today with the music, with the movies, with this new thing they're trying to do with all of this, as I was just talking about multiverse stuff, all of this stuff, it is just breaking us into smaller and smaller pieces. And now, with you in your single multiverse, they have finally did what they have tried to do for thousands of years. Because one thing, see, there's not a lot of cowboys out there. There are a lot of Indians. There's a lot of buffalo. If the human race would unite, we could get rid of all those dark creatures. We could get rid of a lot of things. We could finally start doing what is right for ourselves and for our country and for the world. But we wouldn't want that. So they have to keep us divided. First, they divided us by Tower of Babel, by language. Then they divide us by color. Then they divide us by nationality. And then they divide us by this. Now we're being divided by what social class you belong to. You're divided by your age. You're divided by so many things. And now you're going to be in your individual multiverse. So they're finally going to get us where they want us, where 7.5 billion people on this planet is going to be split into 7.5 billion different things. That makes them easier to control us because then we don't have nothing in common with anybody else. And this is what's happening today when it comes to dating. It is so easy to date somebody halfway around the world. It's so easy. It's so easy online to find a friend thousands of miles away. But to go and talk to your neighbor outside, oh, that's scary. I wouldn't do that. Do you understand what I'm talking about? We are destroying ourselves. We are destroying our civilization. We are destroying our culture, our society. We're destroying everything. Okay. In exchange for what? That's what somebody said. It's for separation. And this is why we are not getting anywhere. If you look at a car of 20, 21, 22, 23, whatever year this is, I think it's 2021 going on 2022. And you look at a car of 10 years ago, you look at a car of 20 years ago, you look at a car of 50 years ago, you look at It haven't changed that much. Nothing has changed. It's up to us to make the difference. And if you don't like, if you need to start listening to the music you listen to, because music, a lot of it have those secret meanings and those secret agendas behind it. And if you listen to music and it's talking some weird stuff, a lot of people, when you point it out, say, oh, it's just music, it doesn't mean nothing to me. But they don't know that they're being slowly hypnotized into that bullshit, that BS, I should say. So, this is the problem with music. But I'm not the Taliban. I'm not going to put all the music of the world in one basket and say it is all bad. Because music is a two-edged sword. It has its good side and its bad side. And in my record collection, I have hundreds of CDs. I have thousands of songs downloaded. I got this or that. I got everything. What do your music tell people about you? Okay. Because remember, birds of a feather will flock together. People of a similar vibration will be together. Okay. And when you're playing music, all music has a vibration. So you can so you can self-analyze yourself and start listening to the music that you're playing. And if you're listening to all this music that's all it's talking about is trash, about dancing on a pole or killing yourself or doing a drive-by or gonna pull up on somebody or doing all this crazy stuff, then maybe you need to say, wait a minute, I need to get away from this stuff. Right? I need to find me some wholesome music, something that's going to make me feel good, something that's going to put a smile on my face. It's all out there. It's up to you to choose what is right and what is wrong. So let's see if I have any comments. I never get a lot of comments. I want to thank you for all the people that snuck in the house today. As I said, I was running a little bit late, but I do appreciate everyone listening each month. I mean, each week. Um, you know, this was just a subject that, as I said, was a something that I was requested to talk about. And if you have anything that you would like for me to talk about, you can feel free to drop a line and have me to talk about it also. But I am not of the belief that all music is bad. I am not of the belief that all music should be banned. And I am not in the belief that we should just go around singing biblical, you know, songs all the time, this and that and whatever. But in the same tune, I don't think listening to all this negative stuff. And if you got your kids listening, you need to go and listen to some of your kids' music. Just let them play what they want to play. That will tell you what's on your kid's mind. And if you have a teenage girl or a teenage kid and every other word is F and who they're doing it with and what they did, okay, you need to be thinking about because my girl's listening to all that stuff. I wonder if she's doing any of that stuff. So this is what this subject is about. So on this subject, we're going running a little bit short of. I started a little bit late, and I'm leaving a little bit early. You can't beat that. But on this subject, I didn't want to just stretch it out. I just wanted to hit the thing. But do not, we're not going back to burning books and burning music and this and that and everything else. It's up to you to choose what you want, just like with food. You can choose that, that big piece of cake over there. You can choose that big steak over there. You could choose that salad. Nobody's twisting your arm. It's up to you to eat healthy. And if you want to eat junk all day, hey, and then you're sick, hey, nobody forced you to do it. And if you want to listen to all this trash music and Carly B and all this stuff doing everything they want, that's on you. Okay. But what we need to do is we need things that's going to pull us up and pull us in the right direction. Gravity's always trying to pull us down. We need things to pull us up. That's the secret. Sounds good? Excellent. So, with that, I want to thank everyone for listening to our meeting today. I'm not always here. And, I've been, I used to do a lot of podcasts. I'm slowing down, I'm winding down, but I still, I may not always be here every week from now on, but I will be here when I'm here. And when I'm here, it's just like dinner being served. Okay. Sometimes people take things for granted because they're saying, "Oh, dinner's always there. Mom always got something on the eye. There's always food to eat." They take it for granted. And then they walk in the kitchen and say, "Hey, there's nothing there. Hey, Mom, you didn't cook." Well, there was nobody wanted to eat. I didn't cook. The Bible says that in the end there will be an absence of the word. And why? It's not that we don't have the technology. It's not that they're going to lock up all the Christians, this and that, because today nobody cares. We are so wrapped up. The Bible says in Noah's day, in the end, that women was being married and being given in marriage up until the time the rain started. And it says that the end will be as it was in the days of Noah. So that tells you what's going to be going on here. We're not going to have no idea of what's going on here until it smacks us across the back of the head, and then we're going to be complaining that someone hit us very hard. It's up to you to get the information that you need. There's a lot of good things. People used to travel to the British Museum and the Louvre and all these places. You got everything here. The world's largest library. And what do we do with this thing? We watch Netflix. Man will be destroyed for lack of knowledge. That's what is written in that book. I am not planning on being that person. You have to make the personal choice. And if you see yourself being spiraled down by your friends, your family, your girlfriend, your coworkers, whatever, you have to cut that string. You have to cut yourself loose. You have to go in the positive direction, in the right direction. I hope this podcast was helping you some. I hope gave you some words of wisdom. And I would like to thank everyone for listening today. My name is Lynn Livesey, I'm your full spectrum Gnostic. I'm out of here. Thank you so much. I hope to see everybody again very soon. Bye.